Welcome back to Stories, Fables, and Ghostly Tales. This episode is going to give you goosebumps. You know, what you get when you're in the freezing cold or absolutely freaked out? Yep, this story is a keeper. But before I start, just a reminder that I would love to hear your own stories, and have you join up as a tale teller on my Twitter account, Facebook page group, and YouTube channel. You can also find me on Twitter using the @StoriesFablesGT handle. So without further ado, let's get started.
Demon Screamed My Name in Our Haunted Home by Bunny Rose 9. I'll try not to make this too long, but there are so many experiences I could share that just scare me shitless. As a teen, my parents purchased a home in MO that unknown to them used to be a church, and held wakes and funerals and such. The previous owner had disappeared and left all of her belongings, purse, toothbrush, clothes. She had seemed to vanish. It was creepy. She had a large collection of occult books and books on Satanism, so my parents held a sale before we all moved in. We have a very large family, and it was a huge house. The previous owner had up to 50 mirrors in every room, from the flooring and all the way to the ceilings. The mirrors gave off the creepiest vibe. They felt so evil. I believe she used them as portals for spirits. My first night there, the dining room chandelier fell on my baby sister. She was shaken up, but not hurt. Second night, the kitchen lighting fell out onto my dad. It was very secure, and it just didn't make any sense. Third night, another light fixture fell out onto my father again, and so it went, an extremely active house. Energy bills were through the roof, doors swinging open and closed, clothes shaking in closets, the heavy footsteps running up or down the stairs to scare one of us. The disappearing objects, the mimicking voices. It mocked us. It seemed to target me, particularly. I felt a heavy darkness around me for a good 3 years of my life, like a cloak. I heard my name every single night being called, multiple times whispering as I'd walk through the house. So many years of that, I actually got used to it. I had a crow once, the biggest crow I've ever seen. It appeared in my upstairs bedroom out of nowhere. A friend who was staying over started screaming and I told her just to ignore it, and it would be gone by morning. And it was. Although it had no way of getting out, or in for that matter. She was scratched going down the stairs the next day alone, and she never came back, and I don't blame her. We had the house blessed. It only made it worse. Every night, I'd wake up at 3:17 a.m., no matter what. I eventually started just staying awake until the morning, and would sleep till noon. It felt safer. Well, one night, me and my pup decided to watch some TV in the living room, about 2:30 a.m., and I made some nachos and started a movie. Of course, I heard the usual whisper of my name as I walked through the dining room. I ignored it, and we cuddled up and we settled in. All was great for about half an hour. Then, out of nowhere, I'll say my name is Sissy since that's pretty close, I heard the most evil thing I can ever describe scream into my left ear.
Sissy, I want you back.
The only way I can explain this is that if the devil had a voice, this was it. It was pure hate. It was evil. It was violent and forceful, and it said it so fast, so loud, that I jumped out of my chair and my dog was losing it. My dog was standing at the top of the recliner, barking at something. Something I couldn't see. I grabbed my dog and said F this, and put a blanket at the foot of my mother's bed, and I tried to lay there, crying without waking her up. I thought, I'm okay here, by her. Nothing can harm me. I was praying, and then, scratch. My right leg, and 3 huge claws down the calf. I noped off that floor, and I cuddled my mum. Now, there are so many stories about this thing, and after my house basically went ballistic all by itself, we'd have to call people over to see who broke in. It was no one, but you could hear people smashing things and running around upstairs. It then targeted my younger sister. A man in a hat started appearing to both of my sisters, and a knife was thrown at my youngest. Also, this entity or entities liked to mimic my youngest sister's voice, even to people visiting. They'd hear her crying, and she wouldn't even be there. I had enough and I moved out. Those nightmares still haunt me, as if it will never really leave me alone. The house fed off my depressing energy for so long. It was so dark and so scary, I was happy when the rest of my family moved out. Also, I have no idea what that thing was that screamed in my ear, or why it wants me back, and I hope I never meet or see that creature's face. All my life, I lived in haunted houses, and that place was the worst. That was the tip of the iceberg. I have tons more. I apologize for the length. This is my first story, so forgive me. And if the story isn't great or anything, don't worry, I have more to come. And if anyone can explain what that thing meant, let me know. Thanks for listening.
Whoa, what a story. I mean, what was that thing? What would you have done in their place? Well, that's today's episode, and I hope you liked it. Remember, join me on Twitter and follow me on SoundCloud for the latest releases. You'll get them as soon as I make them. And I do these every day or every other day. So stay tuned for the next one. And of course, the best way to follow me on this is through those media platforms like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, whichever one you prefer. So tale tellers, thanks for listening, and as always, till next time.